My name is John Gaduli. I'm the President and CEO of the Hamilton Community Foundation. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the 2013 Harry T. Wilkes Hamilton Celebrates Education Giving. This is the 11th year for this event. And every year it's such a great event because it celebrates some of the wonderful educators and wonderful educational programs in our community. No matter if this is your first event or if you're an experienced pro, I think you will join me in being impressed with the knowledge, the skill, the dedication, and the innovation that you will see recognized in this evening's program. As we begin the event, I want to thank Harry Wilkes for his vision and commitment for making this event possible every year. I also want to thank the dedicated committee for their hard work making this process and tonight's program such a success. To the educators who are present this evening, please accept our thanks for all you do every single day to help improve the quality of life in our community by teaching, by guiding, and inspiring the young people. That's what we're here to celebrate. It's now my honor to introduce the chairperson of the Harry T. Wilkes Hamilton Celebrates Education Committee and your MC for much of this evening's program, a good friend of education in our community, Neil Collins.
It's incredible for me and uplifting for me to sit in a room, to stand in front of a room of people who make such a difference in our community. And I don't think you get the credit that you deserve for the incredibly tough job that you have. Harry T. Wilkes, a 1943 graduate of Hamilton High School, attended Miami University, Oxford, and graduated in 1948, and then earned a law degree from the University of Cincinnati in 1950. He returned to Hamilton to practice law and establish the Equity Investment Company. Mr. Wilkes is a longtime donor and supporter of the Hamilton Community Foundation. He established a fund at the foundation a number of years ago to help him expedite his charitable giving in the community. The Wilkes family also has a scholarship fund at the foundation in memory of their parents. Harry's interest in education has been demonstrated by his relationship with Miami University, and he has endowed a lecture series, established scholarships for underprivileged students, started a leadership school, and donated the Harry T. Wilkes Conference Center at the Hamilton campus. Mr. Wilkes has brought international recognition to the Hamilton community by establishing Pyramid Hill Sculpture Park. The park has been gifted to a public foundation, and he is tireless in supporting the arts in our community. If you give a man a fish, he will eat once. If you teach a man to fish, he'll eat for the rest of his life. If you're thinking 1 year ahead, you'll sow a seed. But if you're thinking 10 years ahead, you'll educate the people. By sowing the seed, you'll only harvest once. By planting a tree, you'll harvest tenfold. But by educating the people, you'll harvest 100-fold. Harry has demonstrated a lifelong belief in the importance of education, and he feels education in our community should be celebrated like we're celebrating here tonight. Teacher recognition and program grants for our local educators were one way in which he could show the community the dedication of our local educators. Thus was born the Harry T. Wilkes Hamilton Celebrates Education Recognition Dinner. Many of you have been a part of this special event for years, but you may not realize the extent of the Hamilton Community Foundation's involvement in supporting education. For 60 years, donors and the foundation board have placed a top priority on supporting education. Most students thrive in school, but there are others who do not. We know that quite well, don't we? Tackling the achievement gap is an integral part of the Foundation's strategic plan. The Hamilton Community Foundation's goal is this: to increase the number of children who are prepared for school entrance to increase the number of high school students who are prepared for a transition into college, and advocate for strong administration, supporting teachers, involving parents, and establishing a culture of high expectations. That whole plan that you just heard is all about increasing and expanding and having higher expectations. And that's what the foundation wants to do, and I know that's what we all want to do in Hamilton to become the city of education. Let's take a moment to view a presentation that highlights the important work being done by the Hamilton Community Foundation.
The Hamilton Community Foundation has been involved in education for nearly 60 years. In 1954, we awarded our first scholarship, and we've been awarding scholarships every year since then. We've awarded over $9 million in scholarship dollars to young people in this community to help them with their goals of achieving a higher education. Each year we award about 200 scholarships, and it's one of our strongest and most popular programs at the foundation. But in addition to scholarships, we've recently become involved with more hands-on direct services to the education community. About 5 years ago, we started working with Dave Murray of Murray & Associates to assist families and students in understanding the complexities of pursuing higher education. Mr. Murray and his team works with the students and with their families to understand the cost involved with higher education, how to pay for that, how to choose the right school, and really what's feasible and what's not. Mr. Murray's really been able to make the dream of college possible for a lot of people who didn't think it was possible before. And as we were working with Dave Murray and Associates, we found that there were still students that needed additional assistance. 4 years ago, we created a new program called the YES program, Youth Exploring Success, where the foundation actually hired an employee, Lindsay Lassiter, who works in the Hamilton City Schools first-generation college students to understand what's needed and to help them navigate the road to success in college. Lindsay has a caseload of about 100 students. She's very involved with the students, very involved with their families, assists with everything from maintaining good grades in school, taking college visits, understanding financial aid, all of those things that go into getting into and succeeding in higher education, Lindsay is involved with and provides that services to students. More recently, we've started looking at the younger students, those students who are just starting their educational careers, and we've found that there really were some needs for additional preschool education in our community. We looked at the results of entrance tests of students going into kindergarten and really found that students could be better prepared as they entered Hamilton City Schools kindergarten program. So we launched an initiative which we call Start Ready to help every student in the Hamilton City Schools really be ready to start kindergarten. And we're working with local preschool providers, including the Hamilton City Schools and others throughout the community, to make sure that there's an opportunity for all young people in Hamilton to have quality preschool services so that when they start kindergarten, they're on a level playing field, so that they don't start behind, so that they start where they need to be, and then they can excel as they move through the educational process. In addition to those education programs, we also have our youth philanthropy program. We have students from Hamilton City Schools, from Baden High School, New Miami, and Ross High Schools. These about 20 student leaders come together on a monthly basis, meet, and work to address needs in the community. Part of what they do is award grants to programs in the community. Over the last several years, they've had about $35,000 a year to award to programs that support youth in the community. But more than just giving grants, these young people are learning about leadership, they're learning about philanthropy, they're learning about community involvement, and they're learning about becoming successful adults. The Youth Philanthropy Program has been a tremendous success and continues to offer opportunities to youth in our community. Our goal with the Hamilton Community Foundation is to make sure that every student in our service area has an opportunity to succeed at all levels of education, beginning with preschool and kindergarten, all the way through post-secondary and whatever they choose to do.
As you can see, the Hamilton Community Foundation is taking serious steps to improve the outcomes for students in Hamilton in all levels of education, preschool, all the way through the high schools, parochial, private, and public schools. And we need your help to make this initiative even stronger. As I said earlier, we can be the city of education if we just all come together and work at it. Now I'd like to introduce the chair of the HTW committee, Dr. Beverly Taylor. Dr. Beverly Taylor is a professor of physics and received her PhD from Clemson University in theoretical physics in 1978 and joined the Miami faculty in 1984 after teaching briefly at Denison and Jackson State University. Most of her scholarly work has been in the field of physics education, including the development of curriculum materials for middle school classes, middle school science, investigation of issues related to the success of females in science at both the middle and college levels, and investigation of college student critical thinking skills. In 1999, Dr. Taylor was elected a Fellow of the American Physical Society in recognition of her contributions in the field of physics education. She has also received a Distinguished Service Citation from the American Association of Physics Teachers. Over the last 10 years, Dr. Taylor has had a variety of leadership roles at Miami that is focused on working with other faculty to assess and approve student learning. She's a remarkable woman. I'm sure you can hear that. Recently, she led a university-wide course redesign project in which the university's highest enrollment courses were revised to be more student-centered and inquiry-based, with an increased focus on student engagement with peers and critical thinking. Of all these various things she has done, she has most enjoyed working with middle school teachers and developing hands-on science curriculum that uses toys to teach physics concepts. She has published 5 books on teaching physics with toys and has taught over 1,000 teachers from across the country how to use the materials. Last year, she became the first person to have been given all 3 of the campus's faculty awards: Excellence in Scholarship, Excellence in Science, and Excellence in Teaching. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Beverly Taylor, the Judging Committee Chair.
Good evening. It's really a joy to come back and see all the familiar faces as we're wandering around before and after dinner. Unfortunately, I can't see a soul from here. My job here is to talk a little bit about the judging process. We work just as hard as we can possibly work to have everything open and above board so that nobody thinks there's any favoritism going on, or that somebody's got a special in to getting one of these awards. We do have this grant program. We give several every year. Any educator in Hamilton can submit a proposal for anything up to $1,000 to support some educational project you might have. You can do it for just a single classroom. You can do it for several classrooms together. Sometimes we have 2 or 3 teachers go together and work on a project. You can do something that involves your whole school. We've occasionally had one that involved even the whole district. We judge these based on about 7 criteria that I like to look at as trying to answer 7 questions. What's the educational purpose of the project? What's the need for the project? And is it just because somebody thought it would be fun? And is there a real educational need out there for the project? Has the proposal clearly said what they're going to do? And if you're writing one of these, it's a really good idea to give us as much of a detailed timeline as you can. Not only what's going to happen, but when's it going to happen? Are there anticipated results? I mean, we've said, why do you want to do it? I mean, what's your purpose? What's the need? What do you think's going to happen because you did it? Is there going to be a significant impact on the students? Is the project a good fit with your school's goals, your district's goals? Which means you need to tell us what those things are. Have you clearly explained the budget you're asking for? Is it appropriate to what you're doing? Is it clearly related to what you're doing? Is it cost effective? And lastly, does the grantee have the appropriate expertise? Is this a project that requires somebody to have some special expertise that just not everybody would have? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. Is it something, are you trying to implement something that you've taken a summer workshop and learned about, or gone to a conference so that you've got some expertise that somebody else might not have that can be applied to this project? And again, this is not an easy process. I mean, we always get more proposals than we can fund, and we'd just all dearly love to be able to give everybody every cent they asked for. And so there are hard choices to be made. So I do hope you'll consider submitting a proposal for next year for the 2014 grant program. All the details of how to do that are on the foundation website. The proposals come in sometime in June. We make the decisions in July, and then you'll know sometime in August before school starts, in time to get started on your project. So for the most of you that have been here before, you know that each year we prepare a video highlighting what last year's grant winners did with their money and with their project. And so that's the next thing we want to do, which many of you, I think, would say is at least the second best part of the program, with finding out who the winner is the first part, the first best part. And so now we want to go to the video for last year's grant winners and see all the exciting things they did.
The project was designed to introduce the students to the new STEM curriculum with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics all being part of the main focus in science. We had members of the community come in and teach them the safety on using the different power tools that they got to use. There was a major focus on group work.
It was a really unique experience that would work a lot towards real life because we had to depend a lot on each other and we had to trust ourselves to make sure we did everything right, because that's what made the outcome, and we got to learn a lot about designing and how to plan.
Students got to problem solve together. They did a lot of research in designing their catapults. They spent time comparing the catapults that we were creating in class to ancient catapults, so we kind of did a whole cross-curricular idea. They read medieval stories and Greek mythology stories in reading, did some math.
I'm going to remember this. I never really thought we would be building a catapult in science class, and it helped us more than just science, like helped us plan, like teamwork and all that. We got to launch it a few times, and I really liked that, and working with all the people in my science class, and I just liked that opportunity, so thank you for that.
With the help of the grant, we were actually able to have all the learners participate, not just ones, whose parents could afford to donate or they could do this on their own time. It was something that we could all of them got to do, and not just a select few, so it got to impact a large number of students. I just want to thank the Foundation and Harry T. Wilkes for the opportunity to bring this project to my students.
A couple years ago, I took a science course, and we were provided with picture books to kind of enrich our curriculum. And so Kathy Siegel and I began talking about that we wanted that same thing for social studies.
My coworker Allison and I have always loved children's literature, so when we thought of this grant, it was just a perfect idea for us to get some children's literature that we could actually integrate into our social studies curriculum.
In all, we bought about 89 books, I think, in total with our dollars through Mr. Wilkes. It has allowed us to kind of attach an emotion with the kids. If we can have an emotional impact, then we feel like they're going to become more lifelong learners of the information. The kids absolutely love when I say that it's time for us to read a book that links us into our social studies text, because they know that they're going to get a story behind it.
I really like this book, Henry's Freedom Box, because it's a really good story about this boy who has gone through a lot. His family gets sold into slavery away from him, and then he decides that he's going to mail himself to freedom. He puts himself in this box, and I just think that was a really creative idea to get yourself free.
Our students have enjoyed learning social studies so much more, and I think they've gotten a lot more out of the social studies this year than the previous years. It makes it so that they become more a part of it and they have more of a feeling. We did a lot with the Underground Railroad and slavery.
I just feel it's nice to hear, stories about the things you're studying about sometimes, because they're interesting. Thank you guys so much for all of these books. I love reading about them.
Mr. Wilkes, thank you so much for the money that we've been able to use to buy the children's literature that we can integrate into our social studies curriculum.
Hi, are you here to purchase a bowl and lunch? Great! It's $10 and that'll get you a ceramic bowl plus your lunch today. And all that money will go to Shared Harvest and Open Door Pantry.
Just outside our door, a cry so deafening, we just can't.
We here at Ridgeway did an Empty Bowls project. Each school was asked to contribute 50 bowls. Mr. Wilkes' grant provided the clay and the glazes for all of those bowls. Students from 3rd grade to high school handmade each bowl.
You start with the clay and then you get a plastic bowl, and then you put your clay in the bowl and make it the shape of a bowl. And then if you want to put any decorations to make it look fancy, you just get some decorating tools, put it in there, and then you just put it in a bag and close up the bag and just let it dry. And then you glaze it up with glaze, and then you have your bowl.
The actual event was held at Garfield and Wilson Middle School on February 16th of 2013, and we had a wonderful turnout, and we raised over $2,000 again this year, almost $2,500, to feed our hungry children here in Hamilton.
It makes you feel good when you're eating or at night and you're eating dinner and you look over to your bowl that you've bought, and it just reminds you that not everyone has something to put on their plate at night or something to eat, and you helped go against that and fight hunger and make someone's life a little bit better.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkes, for helping us feed the hungry children.
Keep changing the world.
With our grant, we purchased 5 CD and cassette players for our 5 resource rooms, some new headsets, and an array of trade books and read-aloud CDs. This grant has given us the opportunity to use a lot of our existing resources that we have in our school, as well as add new materials to our collection. One of the things that I love that this grant allowed us to do was to use some things that we've had for ages that were the oldies but goodies. I was at Jefferson Elementary for 24 years, and some of these books on tape were here the whole time with me. They're really good books, but some of the tapes were starting to wear out, and our cassette players all broke. So now that we got this grant, we replaced the tapes with CDs and put them with the books, and we're able to use these books again that we haven't used for a few years.
Because we are the intervention specialists, we literally work with every grade level, and this grant has given us a chance to get materials from everyone from 1st grade all the way up through 6th grade, and we can coordinate how we use them and we share them. They go back and forth.
And having these materials allows our kids from the resource room to participate in the general ed curriculum because they have materials that match and they're not doing something else. They don't feel alienated. They feel like they're one of the crowd.
They want to read a chapter book. They want to be like their friends, and this is a way that they can be reading these chapter books and feel confident and successful knowing what they're reading.
One of my students said, I can't keep up with the reading, it's going too fast. And that's okay. She doesn't have to keep up with the reading. She can just stop and appreciate the story. Everyone can do it at their own pace.
It's a continuing circle of success because if the fluency increases, then the comprehension increases, and then you're more motivated to read.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation for making us better readers.
My project is called Garden Buddies, and my 4th grade students researched vegetables to grow in our school garden, and then they taught a 2nd grade buddy how to grow it.
Me and my buddy planted Brussels sprouts. We observed them and measured them every week.
This is a carrot bed that is 2 cinder blocks high, so we could grow long carrots of different colors. So we're looking forward to harvesting these and comparing the different lengths.
I planted the onion sets and I liked it a lot, and it was fun to see how tall it grew. At first I thought it was going to be short, but when we harvested it, it was up to 36 inches.
My favorite part about the Garden Buddies was when we were planting, because it was fun to see how tall our plants were getting.
They planted together, they collected data throughout the growing process. At the end of the school year, we harvested everything in the garden and everybody ate a salad.
In the spring, we picked them and ate them in a salad. I loved the salad, and I love Brussels sprouts, and I like beets. And I tried them after I planted them, and they were delicious. We had beets, we had lettuce and spinach and carrots.
I'm looking forward to doing it again this year.
My favorite thing was harvesting with the Garden Buddies because we both got to harvest stuff. And then we went upstairs and we observed it, and it was really good.
I would like to thank Harry Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation for helping Brookwood School Garden grow.
I received a set of books from Sherry Morrison, and she said these books, they fit into the curriculum with the series we were using in our classroom. So I took them with me on vacation, and as I sat at the ocean, I pulled the book out and I thought I would just read, shoreside, and realized that the book had to do with sea otters, and how convenient to be reading a book about sea otters while I sit at the ocean. So it really made me think this would be really neat to have in my classroom and use with my students so they could get the real world experience. So that started my first thoughts for writing the grant, getting the book so the kids could all have a book in hand. It's one thing for a teacher to say, I'm going to read this book, but it's another thing to say, here, everybody can have their own set of books, and you can look at the book and follow along with me.
My favorite book that I read was Circumference and the Cone Sword. It had geometry, and I liked the subject of geometry.
At first, I didn't know what circumference was, but until I read that book, it helped me. It told me what 3.14 was, and it told me what diameter, radius, and area was.
Another book that students are reading is Circumference with the Sword and the Cone. And this book takes a look at three-dimensional shapes.
It's a book that teaches you about geometry and stuff like radius, diameter, and circumference.
I want to thank Mr. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation for giving me this opportunity to provide books in my classroom. It has really been a huge help in integrating the math and reading learning process, and it's also been able to allow me to teach math skills in a different level besides just manipulatives in direct instruction and textbook use. So again, thank you Mr. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation for this opportunity.
My teacher chose a great book for us to read. It helps us learn better instead of her talking about it.
Our Cooking Kids grant really has been so beneficial because it allows us to take our weekly themes and plan a day or two during the week to teach the skills, essential skills that they need. We focused 1 week on having them pinch and pull, opening bags. I mean, things that we really take for granted. You know, if you want a bag of chips, you go get it, you open it on your own. And those are skills that a lot of our kids struggle with. So a lot of things focused on fine motor skills. A lot of our cooking activities did, just holding a cup and pouring, picking up a gallon of milk and pouring, all the way to knowing what a measuring cup is and how to use it. We did a lot of tasks where they would just open bread, you know, making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, knowing what to do first, what to do next. So we tied that in a lot with sequencing when we were doing language arts activities. We brought cooking into it, teaching them how to use utensils. So really putting them in situations where they did get frustrated, but then they learned from that frustration, and then now they're much more equipped. At this point, a lot of our students eat in the classroom just because a lot of their skills were lacking, and we're at the point now where they're going to be able to be included out in the general population and go into the lunchroom and know what to do. And I keep saying things we take for granted, but it really is. Opening your milk at lunchtime, you know, those were things that they really struggled with, and a lot of it is just that motor planning that they just, those skills are very hard to develop and they need continual practice. And so the money from this grant has provided us the opportunity to be able to go out and buy food and put these kids in those situations so that they can really become fluent with the skills and comfortable, and so that they can do them whenever they want. They can go home tonight and they can open a bag of chips if they want one. They can open a fruit snack if they want to, you know. So it was all about providing them with the opportunities that many of us really do take for granted. It's been pretty neat. It has. It really, really has. We would just like to say from our Multiple Disabilities program to Mr. Wilkes and the Community Foundation, a genuine, heartfelt thank you. So, thank you, Mr. Wilkes.
THANKYOU, thank you, thank you. THANKYOU, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for making our garden grow.
I would like to thank Harry T. Wilkes and the Community Foundation for supporting teachers.
I really appreciate Mr. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation.
I'd like to thank Harry T. Wilkes for this opportunity.
I'd like to thank Harry Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation for sponsoring this event every year.
I would like to thank Harry T. Wilkes and the Hamilton Community Foundation.
Delicious! Good job. Hey! H-A-M-I-L-T-O-N! Hamilton Community Foundation. We thank you for all you do. Come on, crowd, now let's yell. Harry T. Wilkes. Harry T. Wilkes. Come on, fans, say it loud. We thank you. We thank you. Harry T. Wilkes. We thank you.
Thank you.
Now we want to recognize the 2013 grant winners. And if you would, please stand when I call your name, and the audience will please hold the applause to the end. I'm going to read the titles of each of the projects, but you have a longer description of the project in your program. I encourage you to take a look at those at some point when you have time. So our grant recipients for this year are Carol Mead, Bridgeport Elementary, the project iKids, iLearn, iPads. Audrey Scarborough, Garfield Middle School. Math, pentathlon. Susan Rousey Dam, Highland Elementary. Take a stand, lend a hand, stand up to bullying. Cheryl Burke, Wilson Middle. Brad Watkins and Robert Burke, Hamilton Freshman School. Doug Leist, Hamilton High School, all working together on Leadership Academy at Blue. Alexandra Frost, Hamilton Freshman School, Building a Beat, and that's not music, that's journalism, like a news beat. Amy Davenport and Melissa Dewar, Riverview Elementary. OG I'm Reading, Parent and Community Support. Kristen Yorty, Wilson Middle, the Great Pringles Challenge, which is a science project in engineering. Okay, lastly, applause please. I got in too big a hurry to sit down. Lastly, I want to recognize the members of the judging committee. These folks volunteer their time in July when I'm sure they'd be much rather be sitting on the beach. People come on this committee, usually stay for 3 years and rotate off. Our committee this year, and if you were here, and would you please stand when I call your name? Rich Bethart, Katie Braswell, Chris Cannell, Matt Monifo, Lee Sanders, and of course me. We really thank all of you very much for the hard work that you do. Okay, now I'm going to turn the program back over to Neil.
I also, I guess before we get to the Educator of the Year nominees, everybody has thanked Harry Wilkes but me. Harry, I want to thank you as well. Harry is sitting in the middle of the room. Please raise your hand and wave to everybody. Let's give Harry a round of applause. Now I'd like to invite the 14 Educator of the Year nominees to come to the front of the room and kind of line up over here to my left. I'm going to call your name and ask you to come across the stage. And Beverly has a gift for you on the other side. Karen Albrecht, Linden Elementary. Rebecca Bogus, Wilson Middle School. Joyce Seplik, St. Anne Catholic School. Amy Davenport, Riverview Elementary. Connie Ferris, Ridgeway Elementary. Kim Haygood, Garfield Middle School. Mark Kalusier, Hamilton Freshman School. Carol Keep, Hamilton High School. Sally Coker, Stephen T. Baden High School. Jamie Kuntz, Fairwood Elementary. Terry McKee, Bridgeport Elementary.
Thank you.
Karen McKnight, Highland Elementary. Shelley Morris, Brookwood Elementary. And Renee Smallwood, Crawford Woods Elementary. Now we have the finalists. And I will introduce the finalists, and there'll be a video. The first video, Rebecca Bogus, Wilson Middle School.
Known for being a natural in the classroom, this 8-year, 7th grade math teacher is a hardworking team player who has the best interest of her colleagues, school, and students in mind. Wilson Middle School is honored to present Rebecca Bogus as their nominee for Educator of the Year.
On a daily basis, I have my students come in, I greet them, ask them, how they're doing for the day. How are you guys doing today?
Really good, ready to do math.
This gets them ready for the lesson for the day, gets them kind of focused.
I first met Becky Bogus when she was a student in my sophomore English class when I was teaching language arts at Hamilton High School. She was a hardworking student, and then I had the privilege of hiring her on the staff at Wilson when I became principal. And I'm just very proud of the work that she does in the classroom with our students and how she's a teacher leader in the building.
This educator has high expectations for herself, for her students' behavior, and for their academic performance. As math department chairperson, 7th and 8th grade math earned an excellent rating on the Ohio Local Report Card. Her influence as a leader and teaching role model has encouraged the hard work and dedication behind the growth in math proficiency. In addition, Rebecca serves on the building leadership team and is the cheerleading advisor at the high school. Her colleagues agree, no one is more deserving of the Educator of the Year award.
They got another gift for you. You have to teach us that thing at the end.
Negative to the left, positive to the right.
All right. I'm going to the right. Amy Davenport, Riverview Elementary.
This nominee personifies excellence in all aspects of her teaching, her learning, and her relationships with her students, colleagues, families, and members of the community. Riverview Elementary School is proud to nominate 17-year veteran first-grade teacher Amy Davenport as Educator of the Year.
I mean, I've worked with her for years. She is a teacher's teacher. So she's our historian. She knows her data. She knows what the kids know. She knows how much they know. She knows what they don't know and plans all around that. And she's been doing this for years. I mean, some of this stuff is new to some people, but Amy's been doing this forever. She can teach. You give her kindergarten through 6th grade, and she does an excellent job.
One of the things that I think is amazing about Hamilton City is the Orton Gillingham training that they've given us. Working with the green words and the red words and the sounds and doing the sand trays is all because of a training that they gave us. The administration, instruction, and Title I work together. It really creates a very strong carryover from intervention, what I do, into the classroom.
This dynamic educator is willing to lend a helping hand whenever anyone on staff is in need. She visits the classrooms of her teammates daily.
I'm lucky because she's on my staff. It's pretty awesome.
Riverview considers Amy a great friend, teacher, colleague, role model, and leader. Congratulations, Amy.
Amy Davenport. The third of the 5 is Mark Kalusier, Hamilton Freshman School.
Described as a motivator, entertainer, scholar, trainer, poet, and planner, this nominee brings his uplifting energy and positive attitude to his classroom every day. Hamilton Freshman proudly nominates 26-year veteran Mark Kalusier. This enthusiastic educator pours all of his talents into every lesson.
One of the first things that I remember about meeting Mark last year when I came in was just how passionate he was about education and relationships and people in general. I think anybody that you ever talk to that'll get to know Mark will tell you the first thing you notice about him is his enthusiasm. When you walk down the hallway near his classroom, you're going to hear him teaching, and you're going to hear that passion from him, his booming voice. All the other teachers always used to laugh that they had to have their doors closed because when Mr. Kluger was talking, the kids would pay more attention to him than they would in their classroom.
It means a lot because kind of internalized that, hey, you know, I am making a difference in some people's lives. You know, it was kind of funny when I came over here, I had a lot of kids ask me, well, Mr. Kluger, why'd you stop teaching history and start teaching physical education? I said, well, I was really good at that, but you haven't seen me how good I am at this yet.
Not only does he inspire excellence in the classroom, but this educator motivates others to be their best physically. For these reasons and many more, Hamilton Freshman is proud to present Mark Kluger for Educator of the Year.
Mark Kluger. The fourth finalist is Terry McKee from Bridgeport Elementary.
This nominee's innovative lessons and programs, impact on students, and leadership in and out of the school make her a standout nominee. Bridgeport Elementary is pleased to nominate 31-year music teacher veteran Terry McKee for this year's Educator of Excellence Award.
She is just absolutely amazing. What she does with those kids in the classroom, how she gets them to open up and perform, and then she does performances not just with one grade group a year, but every grade level.
I love my job and I love what I do, and I enjoy getting up every morning to teach the kids here at Bridgeport music and to be recognized as a good teacher by my fellow teachers is really remarkable, and it makes you feel good.
Terry is an exemplary educator and an incredible resource for the Fine Arts Department. One of many creative ideas was composing a school song emphasizing quality character traits. Terry is responsible for the Veterans Day program she initiated in 1990 that has become one of her many legacies.
I would also like to thank the school board members for being so supportive of the fine arts here in the Hamilton City Schools.
Bridgeport feels blessed to have Terry McKee, a gifted, talented, and generous teacher, as this year's nominee for the Educator of Excellence Award.
Terry McKee. The fifth finalist is Renee Smallwood from Crawford Woods Elementary.
This caring nominee encourages students to be the best readers and citizens they can be. She reaches outside the building and into the community. Crawford Woods Elementary is pleased to present 17-year librarian veteran Renee Smallwood as their nominee for Educator of the Year.
I was really excited to see that Renee got nominated for Teacher of the Year because she really does do a great job with our kids. She motivates them to read. She gets them enthusiastic about reading. She has several competitions that go on through the year that actually get kids involved and get them excited about reading.
Renee has opened students' eyes on how to use the resources available to make the most of their library experience.
In the media centers, we are using new technology with the district Chromebooks. The students are having eShelf, and they can access that from home or any other internet device that they would have, such as a phone, they can read books on. So that's totally a different situation than what we've had in the past, but the technology is moving forward and the students are moving forward, and we have to keep up with that.
Renee is able to inspire students to read each day. One third grader sums up this nominee best. She's fun, exciting, and you never know what she's going to do. Congratulations, Renee Smallwood, on being an Educator of the Year finalist.
Renee Smallwood. All right, guess what? This is what we've been waiting for. Nobody knows, I don't think, in the room except maybe the person that stuffed this envelope. But here is the envelope, and I don't know. So I'm about to announce the winner of the Hamilton Celebrates Education Educator of the Year Award. Goes to...
Drum roll, please!
Rebecca Bogus, Wilson Middle School.
Thank you, everybody. I'd first like to thank the Hamilton Community Foundation and Harry T. Wilkes for the opportunity to represent our community as Educator of the Year. This award not only recognizes my work, but the positive efforts of Wilson Middle School. I'm honored to be nominated by my staff members, and I especially want to acknowledge my teaching partner, Carolyn Fooch. Differentiation instruction was truly implemented the day that we started teaching together. I want to thank Wilson's principal, Cheryl Burke, who's been holding me to high standards ever since the 10th grade. Not only did she proofread my college application essay, but she gave me my first and really my only real job. I'm eternally grateful for her belief in me and for my coworkers. I appreciate my cheerleaders taking the time to help do some of these videos. I'm very thankful for the opportunity to coach such a group of talented young ladies. Much thanks to my family, Dustin and the Plowman family for supporting me here tonight. Special thanks to my mom and dad for being really great role models, for my brother for always having my back, and my grandma for her continuous support. Most thanks, though, go to my students who inspire me to be creative and enter my classroom every day ready to do math. I recently had a student teacher in my classroom, and it got me thinking about what were the main keys to being a successful teacher. I came up with 3. The first is a willingness to work as a team. We're kind of like snowflakes, unique, but on our own, we're not that powerful. However, when snowflakes work together, they make snow, which is a major, powerful force. I think some of the best ideas are generated when minds work together. The second is an ability to stay positive and to adapt to change. There's a lot of changing going on in education right now. And in order to meet the various needs of our students, we have to be willing to try new things, to try different strategies, like the flipped classroom, differentiation, and incorporating reading and writing, and not just language arts, but all subject areas. The third is holding high expectations for students and their work. Teachers got to have goals set for unlocking students' potential and building their confidence. We must believe in student success and check for it daily. With those 3 things, it makes an excellent teacher. In conclusion, before me today, I see so many educators inspiring students to learn and promoting good character. People that want their lives to make a difference in this world. I thank God every day for the opportunity to be a small part of such a great group of people. Thank you.
You get to get that. That's pretty cool. And there's this big thing in the box.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Congratulations. Well, that was the surprise we were all waiting for. I think you'll all agree that we have a lot of great teachers, and Becky is certainly one of the best. I'd like to thank the Harry T. Wilkes committee members once again, and the judging committee members. Could you all please stand one more time and take a bow for all the incredible work that you do to make this event possible? Thank you. Thomas Jefferson said that I like the dreams of the future better than the past. It's not only the test scores that matter, it is about achieving our dreams and realizing our greatest future. Our community thanks you all for what you do, And once again, like I started, I would encourage you all, I'm off script now, to make Hamilton the education city, and every one of us work every day tirelessly to see that that happens, so that the children that have gone through this community will come back and make it the great community that it is today and that it can be in the future. Our community thanks you again. That's all we have. Safe travels. Good night.